Hi, everybody. Thank you, Brandy, for not inviting me here today. You didn't even know I'd be here. Appreciate it. You all may think that you came here for a presentation today. You did not. You are part of an experiment. Patrick, if you could lock the door so no one can get out, that would be great. Thank you. Fire safety, it's fine. You are going to learn about myself a little bit, this man, Paul. And really in this experiment, I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Pretty sure Paul doesn't know what's going to happen. But sometimes in that liminal unknown space, that's where we can really uncover some of our layers. So let's explore you and just talk about you. I guess first, let me say a little bit about the topic, layers. It's pretty broad, right? I think layers is actually a really beautiful concept, something that, you know, as we've progressed through time, we've learned so much more about all of the layers of our existence, our layers as people, physics, space, time, geopolitics. Anything you really do in your life has so many different lenses, so many angles that you can look at, and it can really change what that thing means to you. It can change how you show up. It can change how it affects your life. So,
yeah, nice.
Yeah. Did that sound smart and poignant?
Thanks for coming, guys. We're done here.
Thank you. Good talk.
Nothing more needs to be said.
There's a lot of layers. Here in Colorado, I think that we mostly, when we think about layers, we think about our 5 or 6 different Patagonia pieces that we need to put on to be sporty and cool and trendy. I think when you hear layers, you probably think about the layers of people, and I think that's what we want you to get out of this today, is how do we get to deeper layers of ourselves? How can we get to deeper layers of knowing someone, whether they're new, whether it's someone old, our parents, our family, and yeah, how can we kind of rip back the veil?
Awesome. So we're going to play a little game today, an experiment. This is something that's called the 2-minute life story. Sounds like it's very apropos for what you guys do here already, which is amazing. And can you guys hear me okay in the back before we get going? Okay, cool. I've done this before with various groups. Usually it's like 3 to 4 people, not 150. But the idea there is if you just meet like 4 new strangers and you want to get to know them very quickly and you think they're open to it, that you just go in a circle and you do 2 minutes on each of your life stories, uninterrupted, and no questions, no anything else. And within 10 minutes you can get to know so much about those 4 people and about yourself, because things just come out that you're not expecting to have come out. So that's sort of the basis of what we're going to do here today. Instead of doing a 2-minute life story just about me, we're going to actually break up my life into 4 different layers. It will be biological, let's see here, emotional, philosophical, and relational, or kind of like professional. I've never done that before. It's definitely nerve-wracking. I guess I'm a masochist to do this in front of 150 people for the first time ever. But the 2-minute version of this is just a really fun tool, and I hope today that you guys can kind of hear that, learn some about me. I can learn a lot about myself too, and even how to divide things in those ways. It was very hard not to try to practice this ahead of time or even think about it. It's a lot easier just to kind of give a presentation, so I have no fucking idea what's going to come out of my mouth, all right? Just be clear there. But I thought before we got going, we could do a little experiment round on Ruben for his 2-minute life story. Oh. Are you down with that? Okay. Great. It's called deflection. It's perfect. It's all about
Paul, just come up and introduce me.
Yeah.
Surprise. Just come up out for 20 minutes.
So what we're going to do here is I'm going to set a 2-minute timer, and then Ruben's just going to start talking about his life. And I'll give you a 1-minute warning, and that's about it.
Any prompts? Are you going to ask a question? No,
nope, just your life story. Great. And I'll ring this little bell just to get you have 5 seconds to get centered.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ruben. I won the lucky lottery to be born in Aspen. It's a cool, creative, athletic parents. We were part of the very small class of poor Jews up in Aspen. And Yeah, I had a beautiful upbringing. I got to enjoy all the freedoms and overflowing abundance of being in a place like that, having the compassionate law enforcement kind of started by Hunter S. Thompson and a series of sheriffs that did not arrest me for having weed or drinking or selling weed and booze to all the other kids many times. It was good nepotism. I went to CU Boulder and I studied Chinese and international affairs. I actually got really into something that is all about layers called Baeyul, which is hidden places hidden by Padmasambhava, the Guru Rinpoche who brought Buddhism to Tibet and saved these refuges for mankind in their time of need. That's kind of come in and out of my life, and then I'm thinking I would go back to Asia to become like a photojournalist or something. I instead tried to become a pro skier. Didn't work very well. And then I got pulled very much into the world of event production. So I've gotten to travel all over the world as an athlete and as someone who's
30 seconds.
Pulling off big festivals. And I've got to do all the event marketing for Guayaquil. I then started a retreat center outside of Aspen called Baeyul Retreat. I have this beautiful wolf dog. I've been able to, just be a part of a lot of cool stuff and be a big champion in a lot of arenas. And now I find myself out of a job in Denver, Boulder, hanging out with Paul.
How did that feel?
You know, when I was thinking about it driving over here, I was like, whatever comes up, I'll be fine. And then now that we're up here and I'm a little shaky, it feels a little bit constraining. Trying to open.
Yeah, professional public speaker, magician, throat singer, and it still makes you nervous. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Or fascinating, not weird. Awesome. Well, that brings up a good thing to do before we get started is a little disclaimer, because we don't need Ruben's legal record out there or mine. So here we go.
Definitely not. All right, what you're about to hear is a mix of fact, memory, and whatever my brain decided was truth along the way. This is the voice of Paul in his head.
I guess I could read that.
For legal purposes, assume nothing is admissible in court. For personal purposes, assume everything is told with love. Honestly, we probably should have had everyone sign an NDA before this, but here we are. So let's just agree to enjoy the ride and not fact-check me too hard. Now let's help Paul open up his vocal cords. Oh, kinky. For these rapid-fire rounds. Please make a silly noise all together now. Oh, that's fun. We should have done that before I did it. Okay.
Awesome.
So are we going to do this back to you?
Yes, and real quick before you get started, do I just press the middle button? I never use. Thank you. Oh, the arrow forward. So we're going to frame these 4 sessions with very kind of common, socially normal questions, and then sort of dig in deeper. So the first one is, where are you? Where are you from? It's weird I had to read that. Where are you from? A common question we always get. For this, I'm going to have a little prop for each of my different sections. This is a Tibetan prayer bowl. It's been with me to about half the countries I've ever traveled to. It's kind of my idea of home. So I thought for the biological portion of this, I would just kind of have this and share with you guys. So I would normally ring it, but I broke it last week. So it's cracked, so it makes a very uncomfortable noise. Yeah, that was sad, wasn't it? But for now, I'll just ring this and I'll get started. Cool?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
You're going to talk about your biography.
Excellent. My name is Paul Robertson Laurie. I was born in Dallas, Texas, to James Laurie and Sally Baker, my parents. My dad was a minister and a therapist. My mom was a drama teacher, an actress, and an artist. I have a brother named Jamie Laurie. He's here today as well. He's a rapper and an activist. He was in a band called the Flowbots. He works at Project Worth More Now. In Dallas, Texas, I was named after my grandpa, Paul Baker. He was a big kind of influential figure in the drama world there and educational world. From Dallas, we moved to Nacogdoches, Texas for 3 years or 4 years. Came here, I'm not good at timelines, just so you guys know, so don't fact check these. Came to Denver after that. Went to public school my entire life. Loved it. We moved 18 times before I was 18. So a lot of moving and traveling. Parents got divorced when we were in Denver. My dad married an amazing woman named Jane Bernard, who's here too, my stepmom. My mom remarried and then got divorced. She actually married 2 guys named Jim. One was a lot better than the other one, which is my dad.
She's got a thing.
She's got a thing. Let's see here. Elementary school, went to Del Pueblo over here, so very close in the neighborhood. Then Steck, then Hill, then East High School. Let's see here. For kind of timelines for that stuff, I was kind of captain of the tennis team in high school. I was very into sort of sports, but also kind of out, that's a different track. I'm moving back on to something else.
30 seconds.
No way, really? What the fuck?
No, it's actually 45.
Okay, let's go faster, Paul. Cool, after I went to college in California, graduated in 3.5 years, then hit the road, did a road trip from New York down to Panama, helped start an organic farm there named Finca Pura Suerte. From there, went down to South America, traveled from Colombia all the way down to Patagonia, went to Asia, did the same thing. I've been to over 100 countries in the last 25 years. Travel is definitely my passion. I lived in New York for a long time, about 9 years of that time as well. I moved there junior year of college and studied, worked in the World Trade Center before it went down that summer, 2001. New York 20s, 30s. Wow, that's a lot fucking harder than I thought. Okay. We'll get there.
I
That's
feel
a
like
good
we got
test round.
two-thirds through your life.
Yeah, 2/3.
But it was also kind of, it's amazing when that question gets asked, how quickly we go to, here's where I'm from, and here's the stuff I've done.
Yeah, right.
It's hard to get a layer deeper.
Totally. And I think when you're trying to separate them out, it's even harder because I'm like, I can't go there right now.
Yeah,
So
you're
it could
waiting
just
for your
be-
next thing.
We might be forming this as we go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, and I think it's also interesting what you end up talking about the most. Like, is that the most important thing to you, or is it just kind of formulaically what you say?
Yeah, it's hard. Do you guys find that it's hard to, if you were asked like, hey, who are you, where are you from, what do you do? It's hard to not just rattle off your LinkedIn page.
Yeah. Any comments on that section? Any questions?
I think it has to do with what you're going through at the moment, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Or
fair.
what's going on around you at the moment.
Yeah.
Might influence how you explain yourself.
Yeah, totally. I live in Denver now. I actually lived in that room over there for the first 6 months we had this place open in a teeny little lofted bed. So after this, if you guys want to see a very strange place to live, go in that little blue room and look up those little stairs and you'll see a very leaky metal roof that I would sleep underneath for some weird reason.
We also have to calculate the physiological tension that you are holding as well,
Yeah,
within the layers of the beam.
this is true.
I think what the people want, and then we'll come to a question over here, is that's the stuff you've done, but how do we get to know you?
Yeah.
Where is the layer of vulnerability? Whether it's present or past, how do we actually get to like know what it is to be Paul?
Good point, Ruben.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, good.
Should we go to one more question and then a next layer?
Yeah, I had one over here. She was
2 more questions, good.
Well, more of a comment. So my family moved when I was 1 to somewhere where I never belonged and never felt like home. And so this question can be a little triggering for me. I just started a new job and I asked everyone, we have these like one-on-one get to know people structures, and I asked everyone, what do you love about life instead? And it's been extraordinary. So
awesome.
That's a great reframe, yeah. Did you have one over here too? Yeah.
So the question is where you're from, and what I'm wondering is like, what time of year were you born? What were those early sounds that you were around, and maybe like plants and those like first tactile things from where you're from? It's
Yeah.
a layer that I'm interested in.
Yeah. Should I answer that? Yeah. Okay,
hospital, fluorescent lights. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, some of my first memories are actually in Nacogdoches, Texas, and they're not even that early, but, roughly 3 or 4 or something, and it was actually my brother kind of hugging the trees when we left. So I remember like kind of the look and sensation of like the trees and the nature around that. And then just particular memories of like a dog chasing me while I'm crying, or like a little red wagon. And maybe there's things I inserted on my own at that time, but
My first memories are of trees too, being
Are
like
they?
in a backpack on my parents as they're like skiing through and just like, wee.
very Aspen of you.
Yeah, very Aspen.
Very Aspen of you.
So privileged. Let's move on to professional notes so that we get through some of your layers.
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
What?
Yeah.
All right, what do I do? Paul, Laurie, when I was a kid, I've always cared a lot about gathering people, now that I look back on things. In elementary school, I used to make phone lists with my mom the first day of school, write them all down, print them out, we type them up, and I'd take them to everyone in the class to hand them out. And then in middle school, I would throw keg parties for high school kids so they could just learn how to beat me up and take the keg. In high school, I'd throw parties for college kids in bars until the security would figure out they rented their bar to a 17-year-old. So throughout that time, yeah, I played a lot of sports as a kid. I was sort of an overachiever in that way, but things got a little bit boring for me. And I wanted to kind of find ways to push the limits and really just kind of, I was sort of a rebellious person those times. So after high school, went off to college in California, studied international business and marketing. After that, I really did not like the normal structure of kind of going through things, so I went to New York, tested out a ton of different jobs. That was junior year and then just beyond that. So I worked as a photographer, Backstage Fashion Week, fashion photography stuff too, for different magazines. I tried some modeling, but I couldn't smile, so that wasn't very good. I don't have a smile naturally. Didn't work at all. And then I tried about 30 different jobs. I worked on Wall Street as executive assistants, all the way from the mailroom, all the way up to like VP of CreativeMornings. Then I would go on to, from there, basically just worked in hospitality for a long time. At 25, I started a travel company called Walking Tree Travel, which was the idea to take high school students abroad to do community service, homestays, and adventure travel around the world. Ran that company for 16 years until COVID times. During Walking Tree's time, ended up moving back to Denver and didn't really love the city. That's why I left when I was 17. But I was like, you can either do something about it or shut the fuck up and just be okay with it. And so I started a supper club called Silver Spork Social, which is an underground supper club that we did around in different warehouses and alternative spaces in Denver, with the idea to gather people that had a sense of the unknown and really wanted to explore that. From Silver Spork Social, kind of people were asking me to throw parties for them, so I started Invisible City, which was sort of an event production company at the time, stuff like that.
And 15 seconds.
15, thank you. Invisible City, and then from there kind of started taking over different spaces. So we had an old synagogue over near Sloan's Lake. Then we took over this space too. And the idea is to basically create a social club for people that want to explore the unknown and explore their city in different and unique ways. And that's it. We'll move on to the next stuff in a second.
That was good. I think that is, your professional life has been not the normal path. It's been beautiful. Something I feel like you could share, if you can put words to it, is like what you do is you make people feel at home. You make people actually jump out of these kind of like normal pathways of conversation. You create a certain kind of magic that keeps people incredibly enthralled with like what you're doing, what's going on, where is Paul? So do you know what you're doing? What is that?
Yeah, I feel like for me, thanks, that's a nice thing to say. It's always been my goal to like to include people as much as I can, and that's where I get my kind of, my happiness is drawn from that. Mm-hmm. So I think some of it's just, it's innate in someone to care about certain things, but that's sort of the difference between kind of like hosting and an event producer. Anyone can produce an event. Yeah. It's a checklist, but not everyone can be a host. And it's sort of like, you have to be able to look around a room and see like, oh, that person is uncomfortable in the corner. What do they need? And it's totally different from this other person over here that might need the opposite, So I've always had little tricks for those things. But,
yeah.
I was doing a party for a chief of police a while ago, and basically he looked a little uncomfortable in the setting he was in. And by the end of the night, we had him in like a nipple clamp, and I was using this with his shirt off. And then we were using this Perone And I use this a lot where I'll kind of pour it into someone's mouth, maybe more like machismo dude. And I'll always like wipe their mouth off afterwards with like a little napkin and be a little subservient. But it always kind of like breaks their mold. So I think there's lots of, those are super weird examples to use right
His nipple clamp. I knew he would have nipple clamps.
Jesus Christ. But there's just lots of ways to kind of like break that mold and break through someone and break through a new layer that don't have to be grandiose things. They're small.
As a takeaway for people, do you have an icebreaker question or a thing that someone else could try to like get like kind of skip the professional what do you do and learn a little bit more about like, yeah, whether it's, hey, what are you passionate about, or what is your gift, what's the thing you bring to the world, but without being so like cheesy.
Yeah,
and
I
like,
mean, honestly, it's not a cop out of this, but I really don't, because every single person is so different, you know? So as simple as like sitting down next to them as opposed to across from them, that might help break the ice for a certain person. So it's really examine the person in front of you and supply whatever it might be. It might not be a question, it might be something else, but I'd love to hear if you guys have some things that have worked well for you, as well as icebreakers in those ways.
yeah, does anybody have a fabulous
That was a great
question?
one here. Well, she said it before, yeah.
How do you feel about yourself naked?
I love that.
That's a nice, that gets right to it.
Yeah,
That was the opening question for the cop. It was
okay,
perfect.
great.
Someone recently asked me, what's the most boring thing about you?
I love that.
great.
Great.
Sir?
I'd say, what's your biggest win lately?
Okay. In the back?
I loved what Paul said about it kind of being situational with every person every time. And actually, this morning when I was out having coffee on the porch, instead of these name tags, I was sitting next to someone named Danny and someone named Stacy, and those are the names of my siblings. So it led to like a great conversation and total icebreaker by getting them to kind of open up and tell me about themselves and how they were different and how they kind of found themselves next to me.
Awesome. I have one that works great for me. I like to ask people just, how are your poops? And it sounds silly, but more than half the time people are like, actually, and really go into it. And we feel so much closer immediately. In the back.
I like to ask, when was the last time you cried?
Oh,
Katie, when was the last time?
I love this. Yes?
My latest favorite dinner quiz question is, which of the 7 deadly sins are you and why?
oh, that's close.
Whatever the best one is.
A little less out there than pooping, but you know, instead of the question on the board, which usually gets into that LinkedIn or where am I from story thing, I ask, what's your story? And it's open-ended enough, people can take it whichever direction they want.
Awesome. Let's do like 3 more.
I like to ask, what do you like about yourself?
Beautiful.
I love to ask people what their birth order is or if they're an only. I'm the youngest, but I also have an only child, and so it's really fun to figure out.
Awesome. All right, raise your hand the highest if you think yours is the best. This guy, yeah.
I like to ask people, if I want to like grok you, to like holistically understand you, what's important to know about you?
Mostly that I know what grok means, so obviously I'm a sci-fi reader. Awesome. Okay, why don't we go a little deeper, Paul?
Why don't we go a little deeper, Ruben?
Take off your shirt. Let's go into the emotional notes. I will pretend like I'm timing you. Boop.
How do you feel, Paul? Yeah, all right. So kind of the emotional side, I'm going to take this as relational too. My whole life I've had kind of a lot of friends around me from a lot of different groups of people. I've always wanted to have a wide swath to learn from and just be close to. So that means lots of different angles there. I have always found myself to be very empathetic to other people to the fault of my own. So I'll always care about my friends before I care about myself. For a while I thought that was a positive thing. And I think I'm learning through life that it's an avoidant technique to not actually care about myself as much as I can. So that's something I'm learning about right now.
Give
me a few prompts.
Let's see. Talk first, think second. Diversity of experience.
All right, that's good.
Athletic. I didn't know you ever did sports.
Perfect. We're cheating right now. We shouldn't cheat. Let's see here.
How do you feel right now?
How do you feel right now?
I feel uncomfortable right now for sure, which I love at the same time. Like, this is what I'm trying to do up here. I feel like I'm disappointing to the crowd because you're not learning about what I'm doing. Can we start this one over?
Yes.
All right.
Paul, let's go a little deeper and go into your emotions.
Perfect. Relational for me. Growing up, I was very close to lots of different people in my family. I felt like I had a lot of amazing support structures around me for that. As I kind of got into my middle school and high school days, I was a pretty big rebel. Started to experiment more with kind of drugs and just pushing limits for legal things. Shoplifting, stuff like that, some other things I won't talk about here. And then as I got into my college days and beyond, I was really needed to get out there and explore the world. I was a night creature, so I was out there. I always wanted to meet someone new before I talked to someone I already knew. So always exploring kind of the stranger and the common elements of that. As I kind of went through life, I started to realize that what I just care about the most is sort of pushing societal norms, finding the edges within myself and with other people. And I think that's really what got me into Walking Tree, which is a travel company. I used to talk to like 10,000 kids a year in classrooms. I would take kids to all over Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And I love the idea that I could kind of be part of their journey to trust the stranger. And I think that's a really big part of my life, is just trusting the stranger and how to get people to connect with strangers in a way that feels authentic. Not necessarily eye-gazing, but more talk to your Uber driver and like bring them up to your house and have a coffee. Like get to know people in very particular ways.
Have you ever been in love?
I don't know what the word being in love really means, or that phrase means. So I have a very different relationship with romantic relationships than I do with my personal. I've been in very few relationships romantically in my life. I think I love deeply, and I'm not sure if that's as deep as it can get, but I'll know that for myself when I die.
That's deep. Do you guys feel stuff? Can we have a new agey moment and everyone put their hand on their heart? And then all together, let's go. Yeah. Thank you, brother. From your mom. Perfect.
Okay, here we go.
I don't know many people who are your age that would feel good about having.
Oh, I forgot about holding him. I forgot about my props this whole time.
About him from the very first moment he went on the floor. So please talk about him.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I completely forgot about my props already. Sammy the Sloth was for Walking Tree Travel, a travel company. This is a funny little example of something. But we used to go to conferences, and on our first trip ever, we saved the sloth from these dogs. In this tree. We got bamboo and took it away. And then one day, I bought all these stuffed animal sloths and little onesies that had our logo on them. We have some pictures of those. If you just want to play the random slideshow.
Oh yeah, random slideshow.
This is just random shit from my life, so if anything strikes your chord, it's good. And then I started putting these at conferences, and then people would buy them and like donate to a sea turtle and sloth research center in Costa Rica. And it was amazing the difference between like that little layer. No one would talk to us at these tables. But then the minute we had these little cute little stuffed animals, other tables would come buy them, other travel companies, all the teachers would carry them around, and it was kind of like their little snuggy thing. So this is going to be for the emotional side, but I should have. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
He's just like on the floor, discarded, face down. This is my romantic relationships, but this is my everyone else.
You sleep with it every night in your arms, my dear.
I don't sleep with
I'm so sorry to tell you this, but Paul doesn't actually sleep. Next question. Yes, one over here, and then we'll move on.
You said at some point, said at some point that you have a passion to travel. How do you process loneliness while traveling to so many places?
Yeah, good question. I truly find that I'm the most at home when I'm meeting strangers on the road, and it gives me the most time for reflection about who I am. And I think a lot of the basic superficial kind of societal norms of that, like eating dinner alone and being all these different places where traditionally you're like, oh, who's that person sitting over there without any friends? That was a really good step for me just to get over ego in a certain way. It's like, I'm happy with where I am now. So I think loneliness follows you anywhere, you know, if you are a lonely person in those ways. And for me, when I come back even to Denver after being abroad, I feel energized by it in a way that it sort of is a way to reflect of who I am off other people and have a mirroring, but also just learn about them at the same time, so.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like that's enough of the mushy-gushy stuff. Let's get into your philosophical notes. How do you see the world, the micro?
This is my philosophical.
Versus the macro. Yeah.
That's not going to work with the micro.
I wanted you to have a little pipe.
I know.
Pretend.
I didn't find one. I could smoke a cigarette, but that wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Trout, will you pause that? Thanks. Cool, so some of the philosophy I've kind of gained through my life and sort of what I believe now is I believe micro moments are way more important than macro, even for doing events and such. A lot of times I won't tell people, you know, if there's a headline DJ or something, I'll actually just like leave that off because I want them to, the best you can do if you go to a concert is have a repeated experience from what you have played their album in your head, right? But if you don't have that, they get to have a new experience with that artist and that person. So the surprise and delight really comes in the micro. Even during travel company days, you know, our students would come back home with these profound experiences. But, you know, what they would talk about is their parents would ask, how was it? They'd say, oh, it was good. You know, but then there's like 3 levels deeper to that, where what they're gonna remember for the rest of their life is like making tortillas with their homestay mom, you know? And the smell of that and like that like laugh exchange between the two, not the Eiffel Towers and the Great Walls and stuff like that. So micro over macro, both in design for spaces, like using every crevice and every corner, in a human experience of like sitting with one person and having that conversation. And even in the stories you tell, you know, are usually about, the surface ones are about the big, but what you remember is the small. For me, over time, I used to like really care about what people thought of me in a very fundamental way. And I would get my sense of self and worth from society telling me that I'm a good person, very profoundly. And that happened a lot. You know, I was kind of loved by a lot of people in those ways. And now I'm sort of looking at it as like, I kind of need to figure out how to really trust my own integrity and my ethics and what I believe. Because if I believe in that, then it might do good for other people, but that shouldn't be the basis of why I'm doing it. It should be about me feeling the best inside myself for that interaction point, is what I'm kind of figuring out right now. The reason I think that is like, you know, I used to bring like homeless guys home to sleep on my couch. That sounds like a very nice thing to do. You know, wow, nice guy. But I don't really know what happens to them after they leave that house. You know, they might walk out the door and something horrible happens because they were at my spot. So the feeling I get from having them come to my house and stay can be sort of put in a box of like my experience with that interaction and feel good about it, but not allowing myself to say I did something good. That makes sense.
Yeah. Or interoceptive. What is the meaning of life?
To entertain yourself and whatever's up there.
I like that. Yeah, let's see. Philosophy and layers. I mean, there's so many ways that we can all live a life. I think part of why we're doing this, part of your quest, as is mine, and why we're friends, is we do want to figure out how to make use of this really precious time. And layers kind of came up perfectly. We actually did a party just a couple weeks ago. There was a clothing drive, but also a casino, and a little bit of a theatrical thing. You can see a picture of it. And it feels apropos because all of these amazing events you put on, but even, you know, like you said, you're usually not so much in event production mode, you're in hosting mode. There's so many ways someone can show up differently. And so I think the overall philosophy here is like, how can we make our life more rich by thinking about different layers?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We are going to place some different photos and stuff up here. If you kind of see something you want to hear about, I might pull a couple of them out too once we get there. But in the meantime, yeah.
Were you really getting a noogie from a sumo wrestler?
Yeah. They're doing an exhibition here. And the reason I pulled that picture up is because a lot of people just would pose with them side by side. And I think even in those little moments, like what a more interactive, fun thing for them, hopefully, and for us, to like just think about the creativity you can infuse in every single part of your life. But in the cracks. Oh yeah, that's my quality member society phase of life. That's my high school first day ID. I think I'm stoned as shit. I have a peace sign I made around my neck, and I was like the 4th best tennis player at the school all at once, which is a weird mixture. This is blindfolded tastings at suppers we used to do. So the idea is that you can calibrate your senses, but you don't really know what you're tasting without knowing what it is, and without those senses too.
Slow it down. Question over here.
Hi, Jamie.
Oh, hey, that's Paul's brother.
I'm Paul's brother. I was struck by the emotional part that the questions got cut short, and I'm struck because I've been noticing how much like we cut short emotional moments because it's uncomfortable to go to deeper layers, and I think especially men do this, but I think everyone does it. I was at a bakery that I go to a lot, and I was making some jokes with the people in the bakery about, oh, I bought you a Cajun 2 weeks ago, and I brought you a French person 2 weeks before that. Today it's just me. And she was like, that's great. It's wonderful to have you. And I was just like, I couldn't handle how kind she was. Somewhere good next week. Or there's my favorite name question is this question that my mentor would ask, which is what was your mama's name, and where did she spend her childhood? And what's your full name, and where did you spend your childhood? And I was doing this recently with a group of people, and I think everyone found it meaningful, but several of the guys immediately made fun of like the middle name and kind of like messed up, changed the energy of the whole exercise, which is about peeling back layers. So in the spirit of that, Paul, I know you've shared sometimes that all of the things you're doing in this space, there's times that you've wondered like, hey, why isn't my family showing up for more of it? Like, I'm doing these cool things that I think fit with your values. And I think where it took me is just, I'm so proud of you, no matter what. Like, and I love you so much. And if you do absolutely nothing every single day for the rest of your life, I'm so proud of you, and I love you so much.
Thanks, Jamie. No more questions from my family, please. This is too much.
Thank you, Jamie. Oh. Paul's mom. Sorry, you have no say. This is actually an intervention that we've all. Dear Paul.
I think your home is inside that bowl. And I've seen it all your life, from the time you created that little poem about when God cries. And it was so deep. I can't tell you the rest of it, but it's on the thing at home. And your depth and your holiness is not in words, it's in that bowl. And thank you for being you.
That was so beautiful.
We're getting really close to time, so I think we are gonna wrap up. I agree with you, Jamie. More emotions, and maybe there should have been more, hey, how do we elicit that from others? How do we bring more of it to the forefront? But hopefully this is all a reminder to like bring these aspects of yourself forward so you can get more of it from the world. As any reflections, you want to ask any just quick popcorn feedback? Quick raise of hands. Did you enjoy this experiment? No one, okay. Would you like to join a really fun invisible city called Mouthfeel? No one, awesome. Okay, good.
On that note, if you guys want to
Market
learn more about some of the events we do and our membership and things like that, we'll share some information afterwards, but it's on our website. A lot of our events we try to do kind of like pairings that are very weird and unique and sort of avant-garde. So hope you guys can join for some of those.
Best crowd in Denver.
There we go. Best crowd in Denver. And then one more question is if anyone would like to do, raise your hand if you would like to do this experiment yourselves in other parts. But just at the 2-minute life version, of it. Keep your hands up if you'd like to do it. And if anyone has time afterwards and you want to do it with someone else, keep your hands up and look around and see if you can find someone else to do it with. Pair up and do it as you like. But, cool?
Thank you so much, Paul and Ruben. That was amazing.